Good morning, GTS retail partners, and welcome to our Monday edition of the Retailer to Vendor webinar, Retailer to Publisher webinar. I'm Scott Bohr. I'm your category manager for gaming accessories, miniatures games, and role-playing games. It's all wrapped up in our gaming specialty products category. Normally for board games, you'd be seeing Scott Morris right now, but he is out on personal business. So I'm stepping in to help make sure that we get the webinars out to you guys without any delays. I wanted to let you know that there are a couple of things you can do here to interact with our presenter, which is going to be Mike Young from Plan B Games. We're very excited about the partnership we have with Plan B, and we're looking forward to hearing about some of the new products they've got coming up here. But if you're unfamiliar with using Zoom as a platform for communication, there is, if you hover your mouse over the video or you hit the three dots on your phone, you'll see that there is an option there for a chat. If you click on the chat button, it'll open a window on the right-hand side of your screen if you're on a PC, and then you'll have the option to type in a message to the vendors. What you'll see there is there's two options. You can either send your message to all panelists, which is Mike and myself, or you can send it to all panelists and attendees, which everyone will be able to see. So you can choose who gets to see your message and pop that in there. I will be moderating the chat so that Mike can focus on the presentation, and I'll interrupt if there are pertinent questions to what he's currently talking about, or we'll wait and hold questions to the end. So if you don't see your question being answered right away, it's because we're holding it to the end. So one more thing I would just want to make you aware of is that for GTS and Plan B, July is Retailer Support Month. So GTS is a very special promotion for our hobby retailers in July that will both protect your investment and cash flow and give you the opportunity to sell some pretty great games. Leading into this holiday season, GTS retailers who purchase bundles that I'm going to talk about between July 1st and July 31st, 2020, will have full returnability, meaning that there's no risk and no minimum order quantity. So let's talk about those. In addition, retailers who purchase at least one of each bundle, and there are 3 bundles, will also receive a free copy of Tukey and 5211, both great games from Plan B. The first one is the Next Move Games bundle, which is the Azul Retailer Support Package. It contains the four Azul products that are currently in the market: Azul, Stained Glass of Sintra, Summer Pavilion, and the Crystal Mosaic expansion. As an added bonus, you'll also get the highly sought after Azul First Player token. And then there's a Plan B Games bundle, which is a century-based retailer support package, and that is Spice Road, Eastern Wonders, and A New World. And then the third bundle is the Eggert Spiel bundle. It's Camelot and Era. So both great, all excellent titles. I will put the information on those bundles into the chat here momentarily. But beyond that, let's sit back and hear what Mike has to say. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and then we'll get started. So without further ado, I will hand the virtual microphone over to Mike Young from Plan B Games.
Great. Hey guys, thank you. I hope everyone's doing well out there. Good morning. It kind of blows my mind. We're already in July. We've been in quarantine. I'm in Florida. We've been in quarantine since March, and I know some of you guys are struggling out there. I hope that you're finding your audiences and people are making their way back into stores. I'm going to talk about basically our summer, fall, winter titles, basically summer to winter, and stuff that you can expect from us, and the ways that we're going to try to do our best to support you. Also give you just a little bit of product education so that when you're interacting with your customers and the people that are going to your shops, that you can give them the best knowledge possible when it comes to this. So let me share a quick PowerPoint here, excuse me. And perfect, I think I'm now sharing, is that right?
Yes, I see your screen.
All right, perfect. Sorry, I got a window over here and I see you and I, but I just want to make sure that we're good. So summer to winter titles. First, just a little bit about me, because you may or may not know who I am. I serve as lead communications for Plan B. Like a lot of publishers, it's just a couple different hats. I'm PR, marketing, event organization, kind of our community manager when it comes to the socials, Reddit, BGG, A little bit of game development, not really. That's not my formal title, but all of us are playtesting our stuff and giving feedback. And I'd like to think that I'm a fairly nice guy. You can ask my wife and children. I hope that they would agree. But that's just a little bit about me. If we haven't met, you're totally welcome to reach out. My email's mike@planbgames.com. Very simple. Or if you ever hit up any of our social channels and you're probably corresponding with someone there, it's probably me. So first up, we have Century Golem Eastern Mountains. So this is a huge follow-up. Century Golem was one of the big titles from Gen Con 50 a couple years ago. It was originally intended to be just a one-off, just because we couldn't assess genuine market interest, and people spoke. You know, we had a Spice version that had a trilogy, and people really wanted a Golem trilogy. So who are we to deny them those options? So what you're going to have very soon here is that we released this last Gen Con, and we gave it about a year exclusivity on our web shop and through our shows. As a matter of fact, we are very happy to say that this is coming a little sooner than expected. We were originally anticipating this in September or October, but it's actually going to be released, I think, by the end of the month. I think July 30th is our street date. But here's the big things for you guys. There's huge interest in Golem titles. I mean, I'm telling you, I run our socials. People love this. They love the anime and manga inspired art, the really bright, colorful components and the gameplay. This is great. Though, if anyone asks you, what is this? What makes this special? Well, 2 or 3 things. Number one, it is a mixable game. That is to say that if you have Century Golem 1, you can mix this with Century Golem 2, and you have 2 unique games, but then 1 mixed game, which would effectively gives you a little extra reward and ownership of having those titles. So now I have 3 games amongst 2 boxes. I think that the component quality and the art style just really is very eye-catching on the table. You'll see that there's a ton of interest in specifically the Golem line. So it's my hope that you guys find those customers, because I think the issue that we have when we ran exclusivity is that based out of Canada, the shipping's $10 or $15 minimum to go to the States. I think that you're going to find those audiences begging to get into your shop. So if you haven't, consider pre-ordering that. It's something worth looking into, because the next slide, which is Century Golem and Endless World, this is the 3rd in the Century Golem trilogy. Now, what's cool about this is our intentions with this were originally to do a 1-year exclusivity in our web shop. We know that you guys are struggling. I get it. We understand that there's shops out there that are, you know, any benefits that we can find, anything that we can do to give them an opportunity to make extra sales, we're going to do that. So as people are filing into your store to get the 2nd in the Golem trilogy, Eastern Mountains, I would let them know that you can pre-order Century Golem and Endless World. We're going to put it on our web shop, but there's no exclusivity. As soon as we get it, they're going to have it. We're going to get it out to you retailers. The goal is to have it by the end of the holidays. It's looking like November. But again, you're going to have a huge built-in audience with Golem fans. This is easily the most requested product that I see on Plan B socials. Like Century Golem, the 1st and the 2nd game, this one is also a mixable game, meaning you can combine these with any other Century Golem title to create new play experiences. So between those 3 boxes, if you had Golem 1, Golem Eastern Mountains, and Golem Endless World, those are completely, I think there's a total of 7 different playset rules that you can use. So what I like about this is that a lot of gamers, if you're like me, you're always looking out for your dollar. You don't want to get another box. You want to kind of invest a little deeper in the collection. This gives you that in spades, because I now have in 3 boxes 7 games. So again, I would anticipate this in November, but anyone who's coming in to pick up or to be purchasing Eastern Mountains, I'd let them know that this is going to be out by the end of the year, and they can get it at your shop rather than keep it at our web shop as an exclusivity. We want to make sure that we offered it to you guys so that your audiences, your fans, don't have to wait that year or don't have to pay that extra shipping cost to get it. So those are the next 2 Plan B releases that you'll see this year. On the next imprint, which in case you didn't know, Plan B has 4 different imprints. Obviously, Plan B Games. Eggert Spiel is one of ours. This is more or less our or I should say our connoisseur line. The intention with this line is basically to be like those Gateway Plus games or those next step games for gamers who are grown out of the gateway games or want something a little bit more sophisticated. So Alma Mater is the next product offering on that. That's due out, I think August 27th is the street date. But what you're going to see here is a couple things. Is that number one, any of your midweight Euro fans will probably enjoy it. It's a worker placement game made by the same designers of the wildly popular Coimbra, which we released 2 years ago, as well as Lorenzo El Magnifico, Agizia, Grand Austria Hotel. Like these group of Italian designers are fantastic. Our fans are super well educated, especially the connoisseur line. So if anyone's looking for a really chunky Euro, nothing too heavy, but still quite good, I would point them in this direction. Anyone who's a fan of Coimbra or those Italian designers, they're going to like it. Obviously, this serves as a spiritual successor to Coimbra. You'll see it with the same kind of art style. It's a flat paper art style. It's very evocative and very distinct from what we see, and also a really nice contrast between warms and cools on the cover. It looks quite good as a retail face, as does Coimbra. But this is going to be like your next really chunky Euro. We're putting a lot of eggs into this basket. We are pushing heavily on consumer-facing marketing on our side. I think we have 12 or 15 reviews coming out over probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, just to keep building anticipation and hype for this. But you're also going to see us doing behind-the-scenes videos, diaries with the artists, diaries with the designers and developers, just to kind of give it a little extra oomph, because we know that those price tags, those heavy price tags at we'll say $70 US, can kind of discourage some shoppers. So we want to give them full confidence that they're making a really good choice, and support you guys in connecting that into sales. Briefly, we have Era, which is we have an expansion coming out to this. This is just more of the same, more or less. You're getting more than 10 more unique buildings to add to the game. So if you have any existing Era fans or anyone who likes a good roll and writes, this is a roll and build. There's also a campaign mode in there so that all your players can learn the new mechanisms that the game introduces. But with the buildings and the new roads and the rivers, you're having a bigger variety of strategies and gameplay. I don't want to focus too much on this expansion because I think it's probably due in September or October. Maybe we'll do a webinar as that approaches, but just know that if you have any existing Era fans out there, that's coming down the pipeline soon. More goodness for those players. The next line to talk about is Next Move Games, which is our flagship title, which is Azul. Hopefully you guys are doing incredibly well with sales with that, but we're bringing out 521 Azul Special Edition. Now, 5211, if you guys know, was published a year ago. It's a really fun, fast-playing card game. It's clever. It doesn't outstay its welcome. I think it's just a joy to play, genuinely. But the price point at, I think, $12.99 MSRP, we're hoping that the Azul branding will help bring a little bit more awareness to it. 5211 sold really well. Obviously, we're doing a second print run, but we think with the doubling down on the branding from Azul and the brand awareness of Azul, that this will maybe turn some more heads and bring some more attention to this really good card game. Nothing's changed except for the art. The game's identical. But what I really like about this game is that it's a very accessible game. Something that's easy to pick up if you are just a casual, I'm going to call them muggles. But if you're a muggle, and I have a couple in my family who just like to play card games and don't like to play anything heavy, this is no heavier, more complicated than Uno. But for those who are gamers or who just want something to serve as a nice little filler, this is really nice because the game plays in about 15 to 20 minutes. So there's not an audience I wouldn't recommend this for. If you like card games, if you're a family gamer, even if you're a hardcore gamer, you just want something to play as you wait for everyone to gather or in between games. This is a good one for them to look at. It's again super smart. As mentioned, it's part of one of those bundles, so you can get a copy. I tell you, if you throw that out on demo, learn the game, and it only takes 5 minutes, you can have this thing demoed, and it just sells in spades. We had it at Gen Con last year as a little quirky title, and our conversion rate on our demo tables was probably close to 60-70%, which is huge for any game. So keep in mind, this is coming at the end of the month. Lastly, with Next Move, it's just more or less just a product update. We initially announced Bees to release at Origins this year, and we're really happy with the gameplay. But we took some feedback from Nuremberg, and with the quarantine as is with COVID as a situation, we went ahead and took the time to just reinforce better quality components. We already liked everything that was in there, but we just wanted to make sure that you're getting, the customer is going to get their money's worth, that the pieces feel right, the tiles are thick, the colors are just spot on accurate. This is on the same line as Azul, as Reef. So what you're going to see with any of these product lines on Next Move, because they're abstract titles, very simple, low overhead rules, just enough to kind of get you in and learn to play. The depth of the game is really in your strategic decisions that you're going to make in the game. I got a simple decision to make, move my bee, but everything's compacted into that decision. If I move it, what am I picking up? Where am I going to place it, etc. Art's incredible. It looks fantastic on a retail shelf. It looks even better on a table. I suspect that we've seen a ton of interest with this because it's the next original Next Move. I suspect that you're going to see a lot of interest, or if you haven't seen it already, as we move forward, we're going to be doing the same thing. A lot of marketing to push and to promote this, because we really do have a lot of faith in this game. We don't want to publish, dozens of games a quarter, only to confuse you guys. We want to do, rock solid games that are going to do well at retail and make sense for us from a business perspective to publish. Lastly, just some stuff looking ahead. We're of course going to be doing our announcements related to 2021 probably in the fall. Nothing too exciting there. I know I'm being a little shy about, a little bashful about that stuff. You'll see it, but the things that I want to focus for you guys, for retailers, is that we're going to be having a major focus on flagship titles. We're going to be pushing a lot of consumer-facing marketing towards the titles that sell really well and that serve as our flagship. So you're going to see a lot of promotion for Azul and making sure that Azul stays in the forefront of consumers' minds. We know that it's a great game, and as a series, it's quite good. There's a game for everyone in there. But we want to make sure that the consumers are continuously renewed and reminded of how good Azul is. And hopefully that means, with our push, it means that there's going to be more strength in retailers to do that. Great Western Trail, which is one of our most acclaimed games on the Eggertspiel line. Same thing. It's a really good game, but we're going to be pushing hard to promote it, to make sure that people are reminded of all that wonderful, like, midweight Euro goodness, if you will. It's such a clever design that we hope that by leaning in heavily with this, that people are going to be reminded that, of course, we're going to be pushing for Alma Mater and Era, but Great Western Trail will be serving as our flagship. The Century Series for Plan B games, of course, we won't be abandoning that, or the Golems. I run our socials. We announced that we're doing a Summer of Golems, where we're doing multiple announcements. We announced Golem 2 going to retail sooner than expected. We announced Golem 3 going direct to retail, which is a little different. But there's one more Golem announcement that I think that you guys will appreciate, as well as your customers. So I would anticipate seeing that announcement probably in August, probably in early to mid-August. But I'll just tease it. But I imagine it's going to be another win for you guys at the retail level. And lastly, Camelot, which is kind of our family weight game. We love this. It's a former STJ winner. Um, for anyone who has a family or anyone who's into light gateway games, this is great. We're gonna be doubling down on efforts for this because it's incredibly popular. It sells really well for us, and I hope that that transference is coming and happening at your retail locations. A couple other things to mention. I think I hinted at this in my last one, but we are going to be looking at and evaluating organized play for 2021. We want to do that for this year, but really, it would be incredibly tone deaf and irresponsible with the COVID situation to try to promote and push for organized play. We want people to have a reason to shop in your stores. We want people to have reasons to gather there. But social distancing as it is, and to be safe and keep people out of harm's way, we've postponed those plans. So we're looking at doing organized play for 2021. Again, the world isn't perfect. We need to evaluate things as we move forward. I'm not sure what that's going to mean for us, but all systems are go if it makes sense to. If that happens, we'll make sure that we share with GTS as our American partner to help determine if it's viable, if it makes sense to do, and then we'll be determining maybe if we provide organized play kits from them or if we're going to handle it directly. I'll make sure that that communication's distributed to you guys. Either way, GTS will be in some way involved, but we'll make sure that communication's passed on to you guys so that you can potentially see Azul or Century tournaments, or just reasons to have people return to the shop, or if you run a convention or something like that. So again, all with responsibility of making sure that we're managing our distancing guidelines and we're not putting anyone at harm's risk. But that's the plan for this. And lastly, and I didn't put this in the notes, but we're also going to make sure that we're going to do a little shakening and sharpening of the imprints, because as I mentioned, we have 4 imprints. Plan B is your gateway games, Eggert Spiel is your connoisseur games, Next Move is your abstract games, and Pretzel, which I didn't talk about at all here, is dexterity. We're going to be sharpening some of the imprints to focus more on core elements of what we want out of those imprints. What that means for you is that with more consumer-facing marketing and education, I think that's going to make it easier for you to sell our products and to ensure that you guys are having successful quarters and successful years. So with that said, I'll wrap up this. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you guys.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate all the information on that. And there were some questions that I didn't have answers to, so I'll just ask them. Are there any plans at this point, this is from Julio, any plans at this point for big box versions of the Golem titles or the Century titles?
I've suggested this. I've heard a lot of interest from people, and honestly, it makes sense from a publisher perspective because they share components, your cubes and some of the stuff and holders. Nothing official, obviously, but I have pushed it up to them as something that people are interested in, and we've seen success with other publishers like Carcassonne, Alhambra, El Grande. Like I've seen big box editions of other names, so to me it makes sense. If we do it, I don't know, and what would be included there, I don't know. So I don't want to give any false hope, but it's certainly something I would promote and encourage. So if we make any noise on that ground, I'll make sure that you guys know.
Great. Another question about from the Golem series about making playmats available to retail. Any plans to make those playmats available?
Presently, no, but so it's kind of a double-edged sword for us, is that we know that accessories, especially very specific accessories like for certain games, have a tendency to either do well or not. And I can tell you from our web shop, our sales are good on those, but they're not amazing. And I can't speak for how the numbers look completely in retail environment, but our concern, I think, would be is that if we publish them and we print them and sell them, I don't know if they would wither or die on your shelves or not, because it is an expensive accessory. A $30 playmat's kind of pricey. So I don't presently know. I just I hear you. It's one of the things I did suggest in relation to like a big box. I thought it would be fantastic if we were to bundle maybe all the playmats together with the games and sell it as a big box in retail. But presently, to answer the question, presently no. But I think it's only because of it's really difficult to assess the viability of a product because we know that it sells all right on our shop. We just don't know how it would work in retail if it'd even be worth a big print run for it. But I'll bring it up to them though. So
Okay, great. Rob asks, how do we obtain demo copies of these games? Even with minimal gathering sizes, we like to have demo copies on hand so that at least the staff can learn the games.
We were at one point working, I think, with GTS. Scott Morris, who runs this, I thought that we'd had a program set up. I don't know if it was buy one get one, buy a case get one. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
It'll be something that I'll double check. But if you're interested, we do have some limited copies. We're based in Canada, and our warehouse is relatively small. But if you have an interest for a specific copy, you're welcome to email me and just request, hey, just remind me, hey, I was on the webinar. I'd really like a copy of this for my shop. If I can assist with that, it'll be my pleasure to. So, but I don't know what the program looks like right now with GTS. I thought that we had one set up, but it doesn't sound like we do. So maybe I'll round bases with Scott Morris after this and see if he can confirm.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing is just to follow up with Scott Morris.
Yeah, I don't want to mislead or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And then we'll make sure that gets back, that information gets back to the retailers who are asking about it.
Sure.
And then Derek asks, what's the thinking behind Plan B having those Golem games as web exclusives for a period of time?
Well, so initially, when we published it, it was kind of a trial because we offered it to partners between this and Spice, and a lot of publishers looked at it and thought that one would cannibalize the other in sales. Like they would buy 10,000 copies of each, for example, and one would be massively popular and the other one would just collect dust. So so when we went to partners, everyone wanted Spice edition. So we took the Golem edition and did a limited print run. Discovered it was incredibly popular, so we brought it to retail. With Golem 2, we were actually kind of pushing to get it out before Gen Con last year. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough copies. So we did a very limited print run to ensure that we'd have it. And I think at that point we were just kind of following in footsteps with Golem 1. That said, Golem at this point is outselling Spice in terms of units being ordered from our partners for those who carry both. And it's not that Spice is withering on the vine and dying, it isn't. So I think we woke up to the fact that we really shouldn't just do web exclusives. It's one thing to do goodies or accessories, but I think actual titles, to me, it makes more sense to make sure they get out to retailers. So when we were discussing options for Golem and Endless World, a 3rd edition, we said, you know what, let's scratch the idea of keeping it for a web shop for exclusive for a year or so. Let's bring it to retail because obviously there's a lot of interest for it, and you guys do a much better job at distributing titles to your fans than we do. Not only are they saving on shipping, but they're also able to pick it up in their backyard. So, so to answer your question, I think the rationale initially was just to get it out a limited print run before Gen Con, and then get us into the queue, which would have it if it got to retail. It may have been delivered in January, but I think we just extended it just to kind of follow in footsteps with Golem 1. So I hope there's no bad blood there. We're hoping to make up ground by bringing the 3rd one straight to retailers.
And there was a question about availability of Azul. It looks like some international distributors may be short on that product line, but I do see that we have it fully in stock in all of our warehouses, so it is available through us. The person asking Julio is actually located in Guatemala, so he may be having some trouble obtaining the titles that we are not here.
Right. I mean, whenever it comes to, we always direct people to their international distributor, or I shouldn't say international, to their local distributor. I, off the top of my head, because of how small of a market Guatemala is, I don't know if there's a regional distributor that covers Latin America or South America. So I would start there. If not, I'm certain that it doesn't take much to apply for GTS to get on board with an account. You would get English versions of the game. That would be the only downside, is if your audience doesn't speak English, or if your customers don't speak English. But I know for a fact that Azul's in over 30 markets, and I know that we have a Portuguese as well as a Spanish edition. If you're having troubles locating those, you can send me an email. I'll direct you to sales so that they can point you into the right hands to order those from, if you want to get specifically English or excuse me, specifically Spanish or Portuguese editions. I'm pretty sure Guatemala is Spanish, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but we can get you in contact with the appropriate distributor.
Okay, great. And that email address is Mike@Plan B Games for those who are interested in either the demo copy, following up on demo copies, or for international sales, to make sure that you get the right distributor for your country. And I mean, we're standing by to help should there be an issue, but I would go through Mike first, just to make sure that that we're following the rules, making sure that everybody's happy.
Yeah, there's also very weird contract agreements that we have with distributors. So I don't want to direct you to GTS if your contact may be, a regional distributor. So touch base with me if you need assistance, and if I can provide it to you, or if it doesn't make sense, I'm certain that GTS would be able to assist.
Okay, and there's one other question or comment. It's just junk art. So I think there's a question about junk art, but I'm not sure what the question is. So Julio, if you had a specific question about junk art, just go ahead and type that in. Otherwise, looking here, just to make sure.
Junk art's fantastic. It's actually the very first game of ours that I worked on. So it's quite good. I think we just recently renewed our contract with the designers on that one. So I imagine you'll see a 3rd edition print. All things perfect, maybe early next year, maybe late this year. I'm not sure what the production timeline looks like from a printer in China.
Okay, it looks like he was just expressing love for the game. So
he loves the game. Doubly good. It really, like, I'm very biased, but I love this game as well. So.
Yeah. And there are some comments in favor of the OP stuff, so I think that's on the right track there.
Well, I think that there's a lot of value. I mean, let me just speak directly to you guys. I know that you guys are the choir, and I'm preaching to you, but I 100% in faith believe in what retailers do for the hobby. We know that the next generation, and you'll see me if you see me interact with me on any of the socials, I'm always promoting people to spend that extra 10 or 15 bucks. Amazon doesn't care about the next generation gamers. Amazon does not pay rent, does not send their kids to colleges, etc., employ local people. But we want to make sure that we're supporting you guys. And I think one of the best tools that we have at our disposal to combat, online retailers or Amazon, stuff like that, is being them where they can't even touch you guys. They can't even compete, which is through unique events, opportunities for exclusive stuff, because the things that we're talking about in the organized play kits, stuff that you've probably already seen with other publishers, unique art, exclusive promos, things that would drive interest and traffic from those fan bases that are already activated back into your store. So that means more sales for you guys, more opportunities for you guys to interact with those and convert them if they aren't already customers, but to convert them and get them into those doors and shopping with you guys regularly. So the more tools we can give you guys, the better off we know that you'll be. And so it's our effort to make sure that we're supporting you guys. And if there's anything that you can think of, I mean, I don't have a position that directly interfaces with retailers, but I'm always an open ear. We've proven ourselves as a company to try to listen to our audiences and listen to our fans. If something makes sense, or if you have a good idea, send it my way. I'll be glad to share it with the team. Don't give me a bucket list. I don't need 20 or 30 things that we can do better. I'm certain that we would agree on some of those things, but some that you think that would work specifically well in the market as a whole, I'm all ears.
Great. And then Derek asks about, does Plan B have a centralized website where we can get digital marketing assets like logos, product images, etc.?
So this is a wonderful question. One of the things that we're looking to do, and we're in the process of it right now, is that we have 4 different URLs for our different imprints. We're changing everything into a common URL, Plan B Games, so that they can then just choose, people can shop between all the different web shops. But also when I do that, I'm hoping to just create a single page for all art assets for the different imprints, meaning that if you want to get some digital assets to create a sign, a flyer, use for socials, whatever, that you would have a link to do that. I'm actually kind of borrowing CGE's example here because I think they do it really well. But I've suggested it to our team that we integrate this in, and when we have the new website launch, it's my hope that everything's going to be there and that we just update it as new releases are announced or coming. But I'll make sure that whatever we do for that, that we share with GTS so that they can get that out to you guys. I'm not going to announce it on the socials, like, hey, look, you can find art assets here, but I think it makes sense for media as well as for retailers to have that, because we want you guys to have those tools at your disposal. If it helps in any way, shape, or form sell titles, I want to make sure that we have that at your fingertips.
Okay. And then leaning in on that social media side of things, is there a Facebook retailer group for Plan B Games or other?
There isn't, and if there is one for other publishers, I'd be really interested in seeing it. And we don't have a position for like a kind of a retailer specialist, if you will, or someone who would interact with retailers. But I'm not against this as an idea, because I think that's a good opportunity just for interface with you guys who are effectively direct customers of ours. I mean, you're going through GTS, but I'd love to see if someone else is doing it, what theirs looks like, so that maybe if there's ways that we can emulate that. It's not something I would be against. I'm active in I can't even remember the Facebook group, but there's a in addition to Gamma, but there's also like a professionals group or an industry group that I'm pretty active in. But yeah, if I'll look at the chat here because I see a couple recommendations. I'll look and see if there's something we can borrow from. I'm not against doing that, because I'm, quite frankly, spend too much time on my phone as it is. I'd rather be using it to answer questions rather than goof off. So.
Yeah, no, it looks like there's just some comments on a number of other publishers who have useful and good Facebook groups. So I can make sure that I get you that list of recommendations so you have it.
Cool. I'm writing down some right now as it is. But if you and I will look for them. If you have a link, you're welcome to email me the link. And yeah, if it makes sense, I'd be glad to do that, because it gives us an opportunity to interface and find meaningful conversations to help you guys do your jobs better and help us do our jobs better, so that we can support each other, especially as crazy as the world is right now.
Yeah. The one downside, of course, is that as distributors and publishers, we're not retailers, so we don't meet the qualifications to join those groups often. So we don't get a chance to join them.
We'll get you on board. We'll get you in there, because that's a conversation for all of us to have.
Right. Okay. Well, that's caught us up on the questions that are in the chat right now. Retailers, if you do have any other questions, please feel free to go ahead and put those in the chat, and then we'll get to those. But and I'll give you a couple of minutes here, and I'll recap the 3 bundles that we have right now available. GTS is making, this is a promotion for July. Okay, let me back up. Before I do that, Rob says he's asked about it, but how do we get demo copies from Plan B? To answer that question, Rob, just right now, Mike is your contact to go to first for demo copies. Scott Morris and Mike, it sounds like we're working on a program, but maybe there's some issues there that need to be resolved. I don't know exactly what the situation is, but for now, Rob, go ahead and email Mike at planbgames.com for any demo copy needs. And then as soon as GTS has something worked out with Plan B, we'll make an announcement on that as well. Okay, jumping back to the bundles. So there are 3 bundles that are available, and the benefit of this is that it's available from to order from July 1st through the 31st for full returnability, which means no risk and no minimum. In addition, if you purchase at least one of each of the 3 bundles, you'll receive a free copy of both Tukey and 5211. The 3 bundles, there's the Next Move Games bundle, which is NMG bundle, and that contains all 4 of the current Azul releases: the first game, Azul Stained Glass of Sintra, Summer Pavilion, and the Crystal Mosaic expansion. The PBG bundle, which is the Plan B Games bundle, focuses on Century. That's PBG bundle is the code, and that includes Century Spice Road, Century Eastern Wonders, and Century A New World. And then the Eggert Spiel bundle, which is the ESG bundle, contains a copy of Camelot and Era of the Medieval Age. Once again, those are all returnable after 90 days, so it would be between the November 1st and November 15th would be the return period for those. So you have to have them in the store for 90 days, make sure you give a good effort to sell through those things. And then also with that NMG bundle, you'd get the Azul First Player tile as well. And I will put all this information back into the chat. I put it in there once before, but just to make sure that everybody has a chance to see it, I'll brush it up here. And then it looks like there's a question about bundles, who pays the freight on returns. I would have to check on that. I'm not sure the specific parameters of the program, so I will check into that for you. Are all 3 bundles shipping at the same time? And if so, can we opt to split them across 3 consecutive weeks? I'm not exactly sure. You want to ship one bundle at a time over 3 weeks? I suppose that can be arranged. Yeah, I would think so. That seems to be it for questions right now. If you do have any questions, go ahead and pop those into the chat. Let's see. I think that's it. That's caught us up. So I think we'll go ahead and call it there. But Mike, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate the partnership Plan B represents with GTS and the opportunity to talk to you today. Retailers, thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and learn more about the products that we offer and get the chance to interact with the publisher directly. Mike, any last words for the team here?
No, thank you guys for the platform. And if there's any questions, whether this goes onto YouTube or not, don't hesitate to email. I'm usually pretty good at responding quickly, but if I don't within 24 hours, I may have hit the spam filter or something like that. But let me know if there's anything I can do. You can also hit up any of our socials if you're curious, and just message or DM us directly, and again, I'll probably be the one answering. So I'm at your disposal to make sure that we can help you be as successful as you can be for the remainder of 2020.
One comment on the bundles there, just to make sure, when you log onto our website and into that bundle, it's going to look like there's no stock, but there is definitely stock on the bundle. It's just the system we use to break those bundles out. So if you see it as a 0 quantity, order it anyway. You'll make sure to get it. So that's just a quick note. But I do want to say thank you once again to Mike and to the retailers for taking the time out of your day. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the partnership, and we look forward to extending that partnership and growing all of our business together. So thanks very much for your time. Have a great rest of your day.